We live in a world where we often equate security with the numbers in our bank accounts, the bills in our wallets. We work hard, save diligently, believing our future is anchored to these tangible representations of wealth. But what if I told you that this very foundation, this bedrock of financial stability, is far more fragile than we dare to imagine? What if I told you that throughout history, entire nations have watched their money become utterly worthless, not over centuries, but in mere months, sometimes even weeks? This isn't some distant dystopian fiction. It's a recurring nightmare that has haunted civilizations across continents and eras. Think of Germany in 1923, where wheelbarrows of marks were needed to buy a single loaf of bread. Recall Zimbabwe in the early 2000s, when people carried bags of trillion-dollar notes only to find them worthless by the afternoon. Consider the unfathomable hyperinflation in post-war Hungary in 1946, or the recent struggles in Venezuela, and the chaos of Yugoslavia in the 1990s. These are not isolated anomalies. They are stark, chilling reminders of a destructive force known as hyperinflation. The common thread weaving through these tragedies is always the same: a government facing an overwhelming crisis, war, insurmountable debt, or profound societal upheaval chooses the path of least resistance. They fire up the printing presses, creating an endless supply of new currency, believing they can spend their way out of trouble. In the short term, it might seem like a viable solution, but inevitably, confidence in that currency erodes. People realize that tomorrow, their money will buy even less than it does today. This isn't just an economic statistic. It's a profound betrayal of trust. This loss of faith isn't just about numbers. It's about the very fabric of society unraveling. Wealth accumulated over lifetimes vanishes in the blink of an eye. Savings become dust. The purchasing power of a lifetime of work evaporates. As prices spiral out of control, daily life becomes a desperate scramble for survival, not prosperity. Governments crumble, and the fertile ground for chaos and extremist movements is laid wide open. Hyperinflation doesn't just destroy money, it destroys hope, stability, and the social contract itself. It teaches us a brutal, unforgettable lesson about the true nature of value, a lesson we ignore at our peril. For the specter of hyperinflation, though rooted deep in history, casts a long, dark shadow over our present world, demanding our urgent attention and understanding. What if we are seeing the early flickers of that shadow today? And that, what if, my friends, is precisely what demands our immediate and sober reflection. For if we look closely at the global economic landscape today, we see echoes of those past cautionary tales, whispers of the very conditions that historically paved the way for monetary disaster. We are living in an era of unprecedented financial experimentation, a period marked by figures that would have once been unthinkable. Consider the sheer scale of global debt. Nations across the world are burdened by record-high liabilities, far exceeding their ability to repay through traditional means. From developed economies to emerging markets, these numbers are staggering. Often multiple times their annual economic output, a path that is simply not sustainable. And how have many governments and central banks responded to crises over the past decade, from financial downturns to global pandemics? By resorting to the very mechanism that has always been the precursor to hyperinflation, the printing press. Or in modern terms, the digital equivalent massive quantitative easing, unprecedented stimulus packages, creating trillions of new currency units out of thin air. This deluge of new money injected into the system with the stated goal of stimulating growth has an inevitable consequence. For years, many argued it wouldn't lead to significant inflation. But now, the evidence is undeniable, increasingly difficult to ignore. We see it in the grocery aisles, where the cost of staples seems to climb weekly. We feel it at the gas pump, as prices fluctuate wildly and often upwards. We experience it in the soaring costs of housing, education, healthcare, and nearly every necessity. Inflation is no longer an abstract economic theory discussed by pundits. It is a tangible, daily struggle for families worldwide. Our purchasing power is quietly, steadily eroding, a silent tax on our efforts. The value of our labor, stored in savings, diminishes daily, year after year. This isn't about fear-mongering. It's about facing reality with open eyes and a clear mind. When governments repeatedly choose to devalue their currency rather than tackle underlying structural issues, they sow the seeds of distrust. And as we learned from history, trust is the absolute bedrock of any stable currency. When people begin to lose faith in the government's ability to maintain the value of their money, when they see their hard-earned savings melt away, the delicate balance of the economic system begins to tilt precariously. The social contract, where hard work today should lead to security tomorrow, begins to fray. We are witnessing a grand experiment, perhaps the grandest in financial history. And while the outcomes are not predetermined, the patterns from the past offer a chilling preview of potential consequences. Ignoring these powerful warning signs would be a grave mistake, a willful blindness to history's lessons. It's time we moved beyond the headlines and understood the deeper implications of what is unfolding around us. What then can we as individuals do to navigate these turbulent waters and protect ourselves from the silent thief of inflation? The first step in protecting ourselves is to understand the true nature of the threat. Inflation, unchecked, can metastasize into something far more destructive: hyperinflation. This isn't a theoretical anomaly. It's a recurring historical nightmare that has repeatedly shattered nations, dissolved fortunes, and plunged societies into chaos. Hyperinflation is not fiction. It is a brutal, historical fact, annihilating wealth, toppling governments, and fracturing social cohesion time and again. Consider the ghosts of currencies past. Germany, in 1923, where a wheelbarrow of banknotes bought a loaf of bread, and children played with stacks of worthless money. Imagine waking up to find your life savings accumulated over decades, losing half its value by lunchtime. Picture Zimbabwe in the early 2000s, where prices doubled every 24 hours. And a single banknote reached $100 trillion, a number so vast it became meaningless. Hungary in 1946 experienced the worst hyperinflation, prices doubling every 15 hours. More recently, we've seen tragic unfoldings in Venezuela in the 2010s and Yugoslavia in the 1990s, where similar patterns of economic despair and social breakdown played out. The pattern is chillingly consistent, a historical blueprint for disaster. Governments facing overwhelming crises, be it war, reparations, or unsustainable debt, resort to the printing press as a supposed quick fix. They create massive amounts of new money, believing they can spend their way out of trouble. But this flood of currency inevitably leads to a catastrophic loss of confidence. People realize their money is losing value faster than they can spend it. They rush to convert it into anything tangible: food, fuel, foreign currency, anything that holds real worth. This stampede out of the local currency only accelerates its collapse, spiraling into an economic and social abyss. Hyperinflation doesn't just destroy the value of paper money, it devours the very fabric of society. It erodes trust in institutions, trust in the government, and tragically, trust between people. When the basic agreement that your labor today translates into security tomorrow is broken, the social contract unravels. Desperation sets in, paving the way for chaos, civil unrest, and often the rise of extremist movements promising simplistic solutions to complex problems. And now we stand at a critical juncture. The echoes of these historical precedents resonate with alarming clarity in our present. Record global debt levels. Central banks around the world printing trillions of dollars in recent years. These are not just abstract numbers. They are the very ingredients that have historically preceded periods of runaway inflation, and yes, even hyperinflation. We are witnessing rapidly increasing inflation now, and it serves as a stark reminder that these historical forces are not confined to dusty textbooks. They are active, potent, and demand our attention. The question then shifts from what is happening to what can we do? How do we prepare ourselves, our families, and our futures for a world where the value of our money is under unprecedented assault? The answer, my friends, lies not in panic, but in profound understanding and proactive preparation. We must internalize a fundamental truth: real wealth is not the number on a paper note or a digital screen. Real wealth is purchasing power, the ability to acquire what you truly need and desire: food, shelter, energy, security, and freedom. It resides in productive land, in indispensable skills, in tangible assets that hold intrinsic value regardless of government decrees. Paper money is merely a promise, and that promise is only as strong as the trust people place in it. When trust erodes, the promise becomes worthless. Inflation, especially hyperinflation, is a cruel tax on the uninformed, silently stealing the future from those who cling to outdated notions of value. So, how do we shield ourselves? The path begins with knowledge. Understand the system, how money is created, why governments print it, and history's stark consequences. This understanding empowers informed decisions. Next, reduce your debt. While fixed-rate debt might seem to shrink in real value during inflation, extreme instability can make any debt a crushing burden. If your income falters or employment becomes precarious, strive for financial independence. Crucially, diversify your assets. Don't rely solely on one currency or nation. Consider tangible assets, precious metals, productive real estate, essential commodities. Invest in asterisk valuable. Resilient skills that provide real service and create tangible worth assets no government can print away. Explore stable foreign currencies or truly decentralized digital assets, always with careful research. Finally, cultivate a life that is less expensive, more resilient, and less dependent on fragile promises. Embrace frugality, build strong local community ties, and develop self-sufficiency. Create a personal economy robustly grounded in real value, not just perceived value. The history of hyperinflation is sobering, yet a powerful teacher. It reminds us that while governments control printing presses, we, as individuals, retain the power to understand, adapt, and protect what truly matters. We cannot control global economic tides, but we can learn to navigate them. Let these lessons not paralyze us with dread, but ignite a resolve to be prepared, discerning, and secure our future with courage and informed action. The future belongs to the prepared,